Yeah. Welcome back to another edition of the Men Who Cry podcast. Like, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, review, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Not to say I this when we forgot about all the tiebreakers of the WBC. On today's episode, this is like nirvana for this podcast because there was basketball stuff, baseball stuff, and football stuff. But we already had the guy, the myth, the legend, Reek Parker back here to talk a lot of football stuff. But I just want to know how you doing, man. How you feeling? Any quick WBC thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think we're gonna win it once we get out of the knockout. If we get out of the knockout stage, right? Because no one knows, right? Like, we have a manager that somehow forgets how that works. So, feels good to be in first place, right?
The fact that and the thing that's so sad about that, bro, is like for those who don't know what we're talking about, Mark DeRosa is the manager of the USA's men's team for maybe another couple hours, depending on how this goes. And he went on TV. This is how you know this is crazy, right? This is not a report. He went on TV and basically intimated that they didn't need to win the game. The game that I'm talking about was the game against Italy, which to his, I would say, credit, kind of thought he was right. Like, I thought it was maybe like run differential. That was kind of the whole thing. But that's not the tiebreakers because, now again, this will all be sorted out by the time you guys listen to this podcast. Basically, the U.S. team either needs Italy to go 4-0 and then they get to be the wild card, or they need Mexico to essentially score 5 runs so that they could be the number 1 team, and the U.S. is the wild card and they get in. So how that happens, I don't know how that took place, but yeah, this is where we're at right now.
This is where we're at. It's kind of the perfect perfect metaphor for where we're at, socially too. Just
yes.
Are we? This is insane.
Speaking of socially, I think that we just had the perfect moment of sports and culture like clashing when you spark up the Kobe stands. We haven't heard from these people in a while.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take that back. We heard from them in the morning, right? And one of the things that because I remember we remember exactly where we were at when Kobe passed, right? And I remember for that time period, like, there was just no, I would say, true commentary about Kobe Bryant, the player. Just the player. I'm not talking about off-court stuff. Kobe Bryant, the player. And the one thing that I always lamented years after he had passed was Kobe knew how much people hated him. And he wanted you to be honest with your hatred. And the thing that got me so annoyed was guys like Dwight Howard being like, me and Kobe had this great relationship. Y'all hated each other. Like, what are we talking about? I watched those games. Absolutely. I remember that whole season. Like, y'all were not friends. You left after a year.
And didn't Jeremy Lin and him there was a conversation that I just saw kind of cycling online just about Jeremy Lin's time in LA and how him and Kobe were communicating with one another. I mean, what on a proverbial bridge now, but I think that some of it's ironic when the conversation, when people, how they participate in the conversation too. Like some of it's not needed. Like, you tell us about your experience with Kobe, give us a good story, give us a resounding story, give us something, and then move on. As far as the invasiveness of a relationship between teammates that weren't known to be teammates, as storied as him and Shaq, like, I don't really care to hear much more about those stories. Like, I'll hear from Shaq, I'll hear from Robert Horry, I'll hear from
Derek Fisher.
Like, I'll hear from that. I'll hear from Matt Barnes. That's where it stops. Like, I don't want to hear much else from too many other people. And praise to Dwight. Hopefully, and I'm gonna take him at his word that that relationship was mended. But still,
yeah. And this is, as someone who's trying to build a brand on podcasting, this is another reason why we have too many podcasts. But If you guys do not know what we were talking about, how would you not know? Because it's probably the biggest story that we have right now. Bam Adebayo breaks Kobe Bryant's record and has the second most points. I can't believe this actually happened. He has the second most points in NBA history in a single game, 83 points. So before you go, I just want to say my piece. I was thinking about this for a minute, right? I do think there is a lot of general hate in the world, right? Spend 5 minutes on any social media platform. And a lot of it, I would argue, is not deserved, right? One of the things that I have is, as a Knicks fan, I have a bunch of Knicks chats and I'm in. Maybe I grew up with the team being so terrible that my expectations was always at the bottom. And seeing the team when they're going to win 50 games again, they haven't done that ever. 3 years in a row in 50 games. I get like general enjoyment just from watching them play. But you hear all the complaints about. I'm not talking about game to game. It's play to play. Like, why they make this pass? This is a bad turnover. And I'm like, y'all are sucking the energy out for me to enjoy basketball. And I think by and large part, absolutely, a lot of stuff on social media has effectively sucked the joy out of just watching sports. This ain't one of them times, okay? This is not that. Credit to Bam. He'll always have this moment. I don't think it's going to be broken for a while, but he has his stuff. The fact that that team was fouling up 20, missing free throws on purpose, taking timeouts in the game, again, the game is over at this point. And you want me to look at that as some type of like masterclass of offensive brilliance? I'm sorry, man. I'm just not. Okay. Like,
I mean,
sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So admittedly, I wasn't watching that last night. I was watching the Celtics and the Spurs go at it, and then I see Jaylen Brown, get tossed, and it looks good to see Tatum back out on the court. All things considered, I enjoy watching that Boston team from time to time. My team, Chicago Bulls, we're nowhere close to even the play-in. So, I'm just right now, I'm doing what we call league passing it and going back and forth. So I can see that Bam is scoring, 31 points in the first quarter. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like that's amazing. Who are they playing? Playing the Wizards. Come on, man. I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to see that. But another thing that like kind of shows us like where we're at in day and age is, if this was 2006, if this is 2005, we're getting the ticker, the 1858 ticker on ESPN that's just updating like program alert. And I think, sports reporters and sportscasters all over the world were talking about how unethical it was, but like, shame on the players, shame on the Wizards for participating in it, but also shame on Eric Spoelstra for not subbing them out. like
kept them in that whole time.
And then, you want to compare it to the thing with Kobe and let's just make it for what it is. There are Kobe stans who believe that his record shouldn't be broken in some semblance, right? And that's not the case. I'm sure no more greater competitor would want their records to be broken like him. However, the manner in which it's done, it matters, right? Like, you have the sack leaders now in the NFL. They got an extra game. It matters how it's done. Now, that said, Myles Garrett, it stands because he got far more in the 17 games than with the extra game. So, whatever. But like this and how it was done is just nasty. It is unethical. It's just honestly an eyesore, and everything counterculture to heat culture. Like, so that's just real top heavy and kind of overarching what I'm saying, because it could be a lot more belligerent and explicit. However, I think this is a family show, so I'm going to keep it PG, but not enthused by it, not encouraged by it. And if I were a deeper basketball lover, I would boycott the Miami Heat.
Oh, trust me. I mean, listen, you ain't got to tell me twice to hate on the Heat. To go back to, honestly, again, the reason why I love this is we can go back to being honest about these Kobe stands. Because, oh man, again, you have to understand, these people are complaining about a record that they don't actually have. That is Wilt Chamberlain's record. Okay? Like, let's keep it a beat. This man was second. Now he is third. Now, I do think that there is, again, like two things to be looked at as, and again, I'm not blaming Bam. To be honest, this has nothing to do with him. Like, this is everything else surrounding it. And I think the main kind of point is that it's like you said, it's the same thing I said in our group chat before, right? If there's a player who's a good player who has 20 home runs on the season, right? It's late in September, whatever. He's got 20 home runs in the season. If he's got maybe 9 years in the league, maybe close to 10, let's say he's got about 200, 225 home runs. That's a lot of home runs. If he goes out in a game and smacks 5 home runs in one game, and then you have a graphic with him, Aaron Judge, Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, that's going to look funny. It just is. Like, you can have a
optically it's not friendly. It's not friendly. Like it doesn't look right.
So like the idea that we are going to have Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant, and Bam Adebayo, who is not a career 20-point per game scorer, smacked in between, it looks weird. Like, we could just be honest. Like, he's not a great offensive player. He had a great offensive night. And
I mean, can you call it great? Also, you went 46 foul shots.
Nuts. Shot 6 threes, made 6 threes.
SGA wouldn't be able to do that if you prayed for it, with all due respect. 46 foul shots? It's insane. It's insane. But, and part of what you're, kind of also discussing this, like, should Kobe fans be mad about? I mean, yes, I would be upset because there's a way of things, like, and how they have to be done. But, like, again, we're still arguing for number 2. Like, like, say number 1.
That's my point. Your whole argument is about being second. That's my whole thing about these Kobe stance. Your argument, their whole argument is not even about being the best. It's always about being better than someone else.
For the people who they were up 18 in the game, they left them in for, Kobe. They were down 18.
They were down 18, yes.
They were down 12 in the fourth quarter.
Yes, that's why, again, and that's the thing, that run where Kobe had 60 points in 3 quarters.
On the way out.
Yeah. No, not the way out game. I'm talking about that season.
Oh.
He had 60 points. I think he had 62 points in 3 quarters, and the Mavericks as a team had 61. And that team went to the finals.
Wow, you're right.
Like, he was hit like, again, this is what I'm saying, man. Like,
that's a Tim Donahue year.
Yes. No, that wasn't the Tim Donahue year. That was the year the Heat won the finals. The Tim Donahue year was the Kings year, the 03 season, 02 season.
No, really? Okay. What, Mavs were up 2-0 in that.
No. This is a regular season game. This is when the Mavs went. They beat the.
No, I'm saying that's at the end of that year.
Yes, yeah. The Mavs were up 2-0, and then they got swept after that. That was the Shaq, Kobe. That was the Shaq, D Wade, Udonis Haslem team.
Wow.
Shane Battier was on that team. That's 20 years ago now. Crazy to think.
Scary Payton on that team.
Yes, Scary Payton was on that team too.
Lonzo
Mourning. I don't think Mike Miller was on that team though.
Somebody was coming off the pitch. But no, that said, man, I truly would be upset as a fan because of the matter of how it's done. But then when you like kind of come down from the hangover at all, you're just like, well, it's still number 2. Like, it ain't number 1. It ain't number 1.
Yeah, man.
So there we have it.
Yep, let y'all have it. All right. Speaking of another kerfuffle happening, a trade that happened yet didn't happen, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on whether or not the league is going to get involved. So, Max Crosby was for 4 days a Baltimore Raven. He was traded to the Ravens from the Raiders for 2 first-round picks, and he's not anymore. The Ravens seem to have failed his medicals, and now he is back on the Raiders, and the Ravens have seemingly pivoted to sign Trey Henderson from the Bengals for the team, but then came out and said that they want to pair both Crosby and Henderson together, which I want to ask you a question two questions is, I feel as if in professional sports and specifically the NFL, you can almost flunk any player for a physical if you want to.
That's right.
And my question is that do you think that the Ravens had some buyer's remorse? And then instead of this idea that they want to pair these two, they were like, we can just go ahead and sign Trey Henderson. We are not doing this deal anymore.
And quite honestly, that should have been the move from the jump. Because if you trade it for Max, you're gonna have to extend him too, or like he just got extended, so you're gonna have to pick up all that money. So the smart fiscal move would have been Trey Henderson, who, albeit had a pretty underwhelming season last year, season before, and seasons his career he's been really good, very, very good. And I you know, as you know, one of my homeboys is played for the Saints with him. And I still don't know how they let him get out of New Orleans. I think they believed in Marcus Davenport more.
That was a bad
so he went. That was a bad draft. So he ended up going to Cincinnati and balled out in Cincinnati. They went to the Super Bowl, right? So, you know, he's a prolific pass rusher. Max might have a little bit more motor, and that's fine. You know, or he's a little bit more athletically gifted, and that's completely fine. But as far as, you know, the Ravens overall, yes, I do think they have or had a little bit of buyer's remorse, and this is in one way a way for them, strange and different sales tactic of how they can get both, right? Sending this back. Now they're talking about, you know, damaged goods and damaged products. We're still interested in buying it. We just need at a different price. So I do think the NFL steps in. You know what I mean? Because you're right. Anybody can fail at any juncture, a physical. And then part of, you know, any organization is sports nutrition and science, right? So, you know, if I'm going to put in this investment, I'm also going to have to, you know, adhere to the fact that, like, you didn't play the last 3 games of the year because the Raiders were trying to save you from hurting yourself further. So I have a hard time believing that, like, without playing the last 2 or 3 games of the year and having a full offseason of him just, you know, rehabbing and attacking that rehab. And shout out to him, he's 6 years sober today. You know, having a full, you know, stint of rehab, that he's not in a better physical place now than he was 4 or 5 months ago. I have a hard time, you know, trying to process that thought.
But
for me,
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. So for me, you know, if I'm the NFL, or if I'm the NFLPA, I would ask for the NFL to step in, because here I go as one of my players now literally thinks that they're moving themselves and family across the country. You know what I mean? And as far as businesses are concerned, they have to, you know, go through those adjustments. And you know, anybody can fail a physical for a litany of reasons. And you know, I don't think that this is enough for you to cancel an entire trade.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think the Ravens told on themselves, because they came out and said, well, we're not concerned about his short-term ability, but we're concerned about his long-term viability. And I'm like, dog, you play the NFL. You do not care about his long-term viability. You need him for this season and maybe next.
Yeah.
So, like, this idea that they had some, like, this is not a guy you're drafting, okay? Like, you know who he is. He's 29, and pass rushers can probably play now. You can play, if you're good enough pass rusher, you can probably play to your mid-30s. But
well, I mean, yeah, look at Cam
Jordan, Javanian Clowney's still getting checks.
Yeah.
Like, this idea now that you're like, oh, we have this long-term concern about him. Okay, you're telling on yourself. Like, I think the Ravens, while I will say that I think this moves with Henderson seems to be a bit better, because I don't know if you saw the list of guys who have been traded for 2 first-round picks. It's not great, you know. Like, the 2 success stories, if you want to say, are probably Ramsey. Ironically, are about the team that doesn't care about first-round picks, or the Rams, when they got Ramsey and they got Matt Stafford, even though they had to trade away Goff in the Matt Stafford deal. But yeah, a lot of those deals don't, like, end up working out for you. And I think the reason why is because it's different, like the NBA, where it's like, unless you're getting some guy who's just clearly hurt all the time, a Kawhi Leonard type player, even someone like a Ja who might physically not be able to hold it to the grind. By a large part, NBA players play, and they play all the time. And you don't just have these freak injuries that happen versus, like, again, Micah Parsons was having an outstanding season, was probably in the running. I don't think he would have won it, but he was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. Stepped wrong one way in Denver, popped his ACL, and he was out for the year, right? Nothing, like, he just fell wrong.
That's true. But I think that, we've highlighted it on, other episodes, just talking about, the NBA's attention to their players. They would take on somebody who's oft injured or something because they know that at least they have a program that can assist in their well-being and getting them back on the court. We can say whatever we wanted to say about Zion Williamson last year. In the last 4 years, he's been disappointing. But this year, he's missed 2 games, right?
He's played. By a large part,
he's playing. He's played, right? But finally, something has not only clicked for him internally, but also within the organization and making sure that they're doing the best for his nutrition, his health, his well-being, his physically and strength and conditioning. Same has to be done with the NFL. And somebody saying we're worried about his long term. You guys are in control of that.
Yeah,
you guys are in control of that. The Raiders were interested in his long-term interest as well. So you know what they did for the rest of the league? They held him out of the last 2 or 3 games to make sure that he didn't hurt himself. Because if nothing else, we're not playing for anything. So why not just, if we bring you back next year, why not just make sure you're healthy? If we trade you, why not get the most value for your services to make sure that you're healthy? So, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree with you that, the Ravens told on themselves a bit, and that's not helpful.
Yeah. Where do you think he's going to go? Because he can't go back to the Raiders now.
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I think we also have to remember the contract, right? So people have to, people are going to have to pay on that. I think for me, in a very perfect world, I was going to say initially seeing him in Pittsburgh would be awesome, but I don't think that works schematically. Because Watt is on one side, then that's the same side that he's on. Then I thought about Buffalo, and I don't think that works either.
Yeah, Buffalo just signed somebody too.
Buffalo just signed
Chubb. There it is. Yeah, Bradley Chubb. I was like, I knew they signed a pass rusher.
Anything to keep him out of the NFC East. So, I'm praying that he doesn't end up in Dallas or Philadelphia.
Yeah. Cowboys said they're not interested anymore, but we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, we'll see. That said, now, I wouldn't mind seeing them in Miami. Miami, they got, new pass rush, new defensive-minded coach, head coach. So I would love to see him in Miami. And then lastly, I wouldn't mind seeing him in Chicago.
Yep. That was a team that I think initially wanted him, but they used that trade to get, because they were talking about a DJ Moore trade for him to the Raiders. I was actually thinking, it's funny, you didn't bring him up. A team that I think is going to have a hard regression, but I thought New England, not paying the quarterback.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily have a standout pass rusher. Good defense, but not like a dominant one guy. And it's funny that you did it bring up the Giants because they're the one team, while their team isn't very good at the moment, they have a plethora of pass rushers.
Yeah. 2
Yeah. And so, what's up?
No, my thought, honestly, the part that kind of became a little bit heartbreaking in all of this, as far as the draft picks are concerned, so boom, they get the 14th pick this year. And I thought that that'd be a perfect pick. I hate saying this out loud, but, nobody knows what's going on with A.J. Brown. Raiders sent that to A.J. Brown for A.J. Brown to get him the first, however somebody picks back and, A.J. Brown. That sounds like a good trade-off, right? The first overall pick, take Mendoza. We signed a few offensive linemen, new head coach. We got plenty of people that we just signed on defense. That'd be a good start. So we'll see.
I think Mendoza is so aloof that A.J. Brown might punch that man.
Oh, dude,
I think A.J. Brown might punch that man. He's coming from a dude spitting Bible quotes at him to another dude who's out there just saying in different octane voices about how we just need to get together. Yeah, yeah. I can see the crash out happening by week 3. All right. Moving on for some other NFL topics. I'm fascinated by this Jeremiah Love kind of conversation. From what I'm seeing, it seems like this guy is considered the best player in the draft and is a guy who I want personally the Giants to draft. Now, before we get into this conversation, because we had this conversation years ago about how I was not into drafting Saquon Barkley, and it had nothing to do with Saquon Barkley, the player. It was the fact that the team wasn't good enough, and you were trying to have an old quarterback carry out his last couple of years when I was like, this guy's done in Eli Manning. This is not that situation.
Yeah. It's not that situation at all.
I think fan favorite Cam Scatterboo is good, not great. And he's going to be a great goal line back and sell a lot of shirts. But I think you get a young quarterback, someone like Jeremiah Love, and you set yourself up to not only probably have the offensive rookie of the year, but get yourself to actually be what I think is going to be the team that has the biggest turnaround for the season. So how do you feel about Love potentially going to the Giants?
I enjoy Jeremiah Love, or I enjoyed watching him in Notre Dame. I don't think that any Giants fan should overreact about the idea of signing a running back or even drafting a running back. And that's only because the last time you saw Cam Scatterboo, his ankle was pointed towards the other direction. And shout out to Cam for even thinking about, like, yo, get me up. He was like, doesn't feel his leg, but he's so tuned in and locked in and dialed in. And from what I understand, about his rehab and getting him back to where he needs to be, he's on and ahead of schedule. Like he's feeling good, and you get to hear him. And I love him in the backfield. And I'm going to admit I was way wrong about it. Like, you can't do that in the NFL. Boy, was I wrong. So he had that good ass game Thursday night against the Eagles.
Killed the Eagles.
Killed the Eagles, and doing his thing against Denver, and doing his thing even against the Eagles the second time where he scored, and then he cracked his leg the next possession. As far as Jeremiah Love's concerned, my only thing is value, right? Like, we have so many holes, and like it could start with Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles. Do we trade back and get more picks somehow? But
the only way I think you can trade back is if some team is like, they think that. I mean, here's the problem: who behind the Giants needs running back? Because you would say the Chiefs, but the Chiefs already took Walker.
Right. So I just wouldn't take him at the 5th pick. I would love him in New York. I feel like I love his run style. He's elusive. But he's also strong. He's powerful, but he's finesseful. He kind of reminds me a little bit like Joseph Adai mixed with like Chester Taylor, if you remember.
Wow, these are some real throwbacks.
A combination of the two. With a lean body, he's not bulkingly big. You know what I mean? Saquon looks like he was sculpted by, whoever makes those Greek mythology
Apollo,
figures,
someone like that. Yeah,
right. So Saquon looks different as far as his build, and he was gifted athletically, so he's a little bit faster than him. But then Jeremiah Smith, Jeremiah Love, a clip of him against Penn State last year in the playoffs where he's down near the goal line, 3 guys hitting him at the 3-yard line. He still somehow bounces off and gets the ball across the goal line to score. So I like him. He's great out of the backfield too. He has good hands. But I have a problem with taking a running back at number 5.
So here's what I would try and sell you on. Basically, if you take a running back in the top 10, top 12, they don't bust, right? If you look at Gibbs a couple years ago, superstar. Bijan, superstar. Todd Gurley, superstar. Adrian Peterson, superstar. The only guy, Christian McCaffrey, superstar. The only guy that you could even argue, well, there's 2 guys. One, complete bust, Trent Richardson. Even though he had some good years, a little bit.
He had 2,000-yard seasons, didn't he? Like, he had 1,300
Rookie year.
I'm not sure how.
It was his rookie year.
But
He had
he had a
1,300 yards, but then it kind of went the other way. And Leonard Fournette, who was good his first couple of years in the NFL.
I'm not ready to say he was a bust. He was good. They went to the playoffs in Jacksonville twice.
They went to the AFC game because of him.
Right, and that defense was very good.
He won a Super Bowl with the Bucs.
Then he won a Super Bowl with the Bucs. I'm not prepared to say he's going too young from the league. I'll say that much, but I don't think that he's a bust by any sense.
But that's the thing I just said. It's like if you're taking a guy that high up and everyone's like, "Yes, take that guy up." I just think like I think it's very Zeke. I think it's just very situational based. I think if you're a team like the Giants, yes, they could obviously use another linebacker, but your team is like primed to be like ready to take off, right? I feel like this is like a year where like you feel like you have a young quarterback, you feel like you have the coach. Hopefully the wide receiver will come back and be healthy. There isn't enough. Like, here's the thing. I would take another wide receiver, but it doesn't feel like anyone's going to be there unless you love Tate from Ohio State as well. It's amazing Ohio State's going to have like just their team is just going to be the entire first round. But the point is, it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, I think that this guy is going to be like a special dude. And you could, I feel like you can find tackles. You can find these guys. I need special. And if this guy is going to be a special player, I'm perfectly fine drafting him with the 5th pick.
Yeah, I just, the Giants signed Evan Neal today. Again.
Brought him back, baby. Could never get off.
So it shows you the priority that they had to build this offensive line. So, sorry, just catching that. So a lot of what, my problem is like, you think go as far back as the Zeke draft, you go into the Cowboys. Like the Cowboys offensive line has, historically been good. You go back to drafting Christian McCaffrey, like you had to play with Cam and a pretty good offensive line. So like that helps. Other first round picks, Saquon was our entire offense his rookie year. Saquon and OBJ, right? So that it's not really 1-to-1. And I have a problem with where the offensive line is at. Even though it was good at times last year, it was not a cohesive unit because we were, kind of plug and play because Andrew Thomas is out or, Luminor is out or our starting center's out. So if we have a cohesive team up front, then I would be a little bit more comfortable with drafting this running back here who can take our offense over the top. Adam will likely. That's beautiful, right? Like getting Malik Neighbors back. That also is helpful. You never know what's going to happen with this Brian Thomas Jr. pick. That could be something that we trade for. I'll give you Slayton, Kayvon, and a second round pick for him. So these are things that these are things that the Giants have to answer first before we think about taking a running back at number 5.
So it's funny that we're to slide over now to Mendoza, who's kind of pretty clearly going to be a Raider in just a matter of weeks. Do you have a nice sense of how good this guy's going to be? Because I think. No, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry to cut you. I think that if you want to know about how good he is or how tough he is, watch the first play of the Indiana-Ohio State game where Caden Curry knocks his world loose, and he's down for play, and we all think he's out, right? We got him out of the game. No, he's back, and eventually beats Ohio State. And then watch what he did against Miami. Miami had 2 offensive line and two first round picks on the line, right? Like you see what he did when he was diving in the end zone. Like this is a tough son. 6'5". He has an electric arm. He has a precise arm. Electric is one thing. Like electric might be like your Aaron Rodgers or your Matthew Stafford's. That's a little bit more electric. He has a precise arm. He's really, really mechanically sound. He kind of reminds me of a 6'5" version of Kirk Cousins almost, from his physical demeanor and his presence, like when he speaks. He's a little bit more athletic. He can run and he gets down, and I think that's the new day and age of quarterbacks. But as far as how good I think he's going to be, I think that there wasn't a bunch of A-level talent around him at Indiana to begin with this year, but everybody was on. He elevated everybody's game. Cooper played better. I was named Charlie Becker, the receiver, and the two receivers that they had. Like he was throwing them open, back shoulder throws, very precise throws. He's got very good touch on the ball, but he also can throw it hard when he needs to. So I think he's going to be pretty good. I think you put him around the right offense, he'll be even better. He's definitely not going to make that offense enter any type of regressive state. It's going to be a lot more progressive and aggressive.
Yeah, it's so odd how it is because he just comes off as such a dork. But I think, but I'll say this: I think you need that to be a quarterback. Like, obviously, you need to be smart, but there's like a level of like. I always feel this about athletes or people in general. Most times, people don't really care about 99% of the stuff that you do. Can you ball?
That's right.
Can you do the job that I need you to do? And that's in social economics stages, like what you do with your personal life, and that could be in like criminality of like what you do with your life. They ultimately are just like, my brother, I got a mortgage to pay. If you do not play well, I might get cut. So
I think he has an understanding of that, but also like, he went from University of California to Indiana and turned them into a national championship in a year, right? Like, there wasn't a whole bunch of turnover from the team from last year's Indiana team going in this year, and he made sure that he became a force multiplier on that team. So I do think that he has the ability and he's sharp enough to compete at this level, at a high level. So I think he's going to adjust pretty well to the NFL. His size already gives him an advantage. You're right, he's smart, but also he's got very precise arms. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah. And then we'll see. Again, he's already known he's going to the Raiders, but we'll see how the rest of that works out. So far that we have like early free agency, or we're still in kind of the early parts of free agency right now. Any idea? I almost forgot about the big one. Any thoughts on the King of New York returning? The prodigal son coming back home to the Jets? Come on, man.
Oh,
the King.
Wow.
The knockout artist on the other end of it.
Yeah, man.
Also, before you continue, did I tell you the story of where I was when that happened?
No.
I was at the source. For those who don't know, me and Reek have a mutual friend, Carrie, who's also been on this podcast. We're both working at the Source magazine. Carrie, who is a fanatic Jets fan. I am reading the tweet, and it's like, Geno Smith has a broken jaw. I'm like, Geno Smith has a broken jaw. And that's it. It's just Geno Smith has a broken jaw. He's going to be out such my time. How do you break your jaw at training camp? Because it's training camp. I'm like, how do you... And I'm thinking, what dumbass hit the quarterback? But I'm like, his jaw, like, how do you break your jaw in a football game? And then it comes out that he got boom, over $600, nothing. And it's just, and I'm looking at Carrie, and he just rolls his eyes, gets up, and walks out the office because he was like, I can't believe this happened.
Source office at that time, real small and quaint, and in the front. And then like at Don Morris's office right next to like the reception desk or whatever you want to call it, and then everybody in the back that was on like the Jones magazine and North Star Group in the back, So Carrie's desk was like in the back left corner, from what I can remember.
No, you got it right. Back left corner. At one of the first Chick-fil-A's was built on that block, like on around that corner right there. I think the Chick-fil-A came in that year. I was like 2015, 2016. But yes, that is my long memory of Geno Smith getting.
Yeah. No, but for him back in New York, that's it's kind of beautiful in some regard. I remember his first start. I'm a Giants fan, as we both know, but I remember his first start was against, I think, Tampa Bay at home, and Darrelle Revis was on the Bucs this year, and Geno was trying to get out of bounds late in the game as they're driving down the field. I think they might have had one timeout, no timeouts left, and he gets pushed out of bounds. And they call roughing or late hit or roughing or something of the sorts, unnecessary roughness, and to get him in field goal range, he wins his first game as a Jet. So good for him that he's back. I don't see this moving the needle. If they're kind of convicted on staying as middle of the pack as fast as possible or as low to the ground as possible, if they're on their march for Arch, this isn't I don't even think this is a move, a lateral move. I think this is going straight regression, not just because of Geno, it's just because what they have around them, right, or the lack thereof. They have value in Breece Hall, but they don't have any success around it, so it's not going to. I don't think it's going to be pretty good. However, I'm impressed with what they've done on their defense.
The defense, I think, will be good, but it's like I don't. Again, it's twofold, right? It's like, okay,
it's really a team sport.
Yes.
So like, you can't have that defense. I don't care how good the defense is. You cannot have them on the field for 70% of the game.
You're gonna. Every man falls down when they get exhausted, and Geno Smith is gonna be throwing. You thought the Jets didn't get any picks? Everybody playing the Jets, get your hands ready. Geno's just throwing them out like candy, man. Like, yeah, to your point, yes. Does this help them potentially get Arch or Sales or I don't even know who the other guys potentially coming out, but like this is supposed to be Dante Moore. That was the other guy I was trying to think of. Like they're going to be potentially 3 to 5 guys that are going to be, I think, first round picks. Drew Aller, if he even, whatever happens to that guy. But my point about all this is that, and I've said this before, I think tanking is one of the dumbest things that we convince sports fans works. Like, it's not that impressive to go up to the owner and be like, hey guys, listen here, I have a crazy idea. What if we lost on purpose to get a higher draft? Wow. Phenomenal. Can you run for president? Like, it's like you're breeding a culture of losers. I'm sorry. And the coach, again, I am very much skeptical of Aaron Glenn, as much as, again, I hate when people use these DEI comments in these ways, but that brother does not look like he's a good coach. And he's now got to wear all these L's for what? And then he's going to get fired. And then we're in the same cycle again with the Jets where they might have the number 1 pick, but you have no stability and you have no winning culture. I personally think for the Jets, them going 7-10, 8-9, and actually being like a good team, and then either trying to maybe trade for a quarterback, kind of like what the Lions did with Goff, or trade up. You're gonna have 3 first-round picks next season. Trade up in the draft for some quarterback. You don't have to get the guy. How many years have we done the take for Lawrence, take for Kyler, like Baker Mayfield? Like, we do this all the time, and people don't realize, like, you need a team and you need a foundation of a team. And if they keep punting on seasons, you're just never going to actually do any sustainable winning.
That's right. You're right. I was a consumer science major in college, so I always learned about the consumer bill of rights that we have as people who have the purchasing power, right? We're spending, so we have the ability to complain about the things we're spending money on, and also, we have our economic resource, which is our time, right? So we have these things that we can, complain about, and one of them is the product that's put on the field. Product is terrible, right? Like, you want me to support this, but you're also internally giving out the message that like we're not committed to winning. Externally, you're making people believe that like this is the best we're doing. For 6 other days out of the week, this is how we're preparing. This is what we're preparing you all to accept from us. It's insane. And as far as Aaron Glenn is concerned, everything I've heard about him as an individual coach, D-back coach and defense coordinator. A lot of people love him. And it's a shame that he's kind of going to be attached. The stink's going to be attached to him as this kind of transitional coach or holdover coach that didn't really get a fair shake because he was committed to losing. Yeah,
for real, man. Last little bit. Like I said, it's early in the free agency period. Is there any team that you have thinking that could go from worst to first? You could pick just one team. We don't have to go through each conference. We talked.
I don't know if this necessarily qualifies, being that they went to the playoffs last year. Okay, but they went to the playoffs with a losing record.
Okay,
and part of the year or part of the last 16, 20 games, they've had a little bit of a quarterback shuffle before he found his footing. That is the Carolina Panthers.
Contract year, Bryce Young, huh?
Yep. But also, like, some of the signings that they've had has been pretty helpful for them, shoring up that defense, right? Unfortunately, Rico Dowdle left, and that kind of returns the order to Chuba Hubbard in the backfield. And I wouldn't be surprised if they draft another wide receiver in the first round. They have the AP Rookie of the Year in Tedero McMillan, and hopefully, I'm an Xavier Legette fan. I want him to be better at football, but I think that Bryce took a step forward as a quarterback. I don't think that he sucks. I think that he's actually good. But I'm excited to see what they're going to do in the draft and the rest of free agency. But some of these signings, Jalen Phillips and I think they had Devin Lloyd as linebacker, and then they added a safety as well. I'm excited to see what Carolina's going to do. So that doesn't necessarily qualify as worst first, but they did last season, right? They went from worse, and one point Baker Mayfield's in MVP discussions and talking about Tampa Bay running with the division, and then here comes Tyler Shuck. That division is actually pretty good. I mean, Atlanta doesn't know what they're going to do with quarterback, but okay, they got a lot of talent down there. Drake London's really good, and got one of the 5 best running backs in the league right now with Bijan, and the defense is pretty good. James Pierce Jr. if he gets himself together. But I like Carolina's offseason so far.
Tough to go. They were worst to first last year, even though they had a losing record, like you said. Now they're going to have a first-place schedule, but honestly, man, I kind of agree. I think that Bryce has a level of mental toughness that I didn't think he had. That probably is from his dad, apparently talking shit to him all the time. But I think Carolina is in a good spot in the sense that I never trust any of those teams in NFC South. And I think if you get on a roll, you play in relatively warm weather for most of your games or in domes. And if you can do that, I mean, I was very impressed about their playoff game against the Rams. I thought the Rams were going to smack them. And they did it. Like, Carolina had ample opportunities to win that game. And it took everything that Stafford and the Rams had to, keep that from happening. So, and again, another big thing is we'll see whether or not they give Bryce an extension. As of right now, that's not on the table. They did pick up his 5th-year option. So one thing I always love is a player on a 1-year deal try to get the bag. They will play. You want to see someone play through anything? Bryce might have a leg amputated. He's going to still be out there on the field trying to hoop. Okay?
I'm excited about that. Another thing is something that was noteworthy today. Daniel Jones signing
got paid.
And he got paid again. And you know what? I'm not mad at him. There's a combination of the storm here in New York that just didn't work out, right? Transition away from Eli, paying him before paying Saquon was not the problem the first year that we went to the playoffs, and then all that other stuff. So it kind of made his value a little bit higher than it should have been, which is the cost of having good representation. There was times where he absolutely imploded and sucked. But also, when your coach is publicly outing you and trying to humiliate you, that doesn't go a long way. So glad that he was able to go to the Kevin O'Connell School of Reform for those 6-7 games when he was on the Vikings bench, and then he goes to Indianapolis and he's 8-2 before he breaks his leg and then pops his other Achilles. And they implode because he's not playing and they don't have a quarterback. But here we are. So I'm excited to see what's going on from here.
Yeah. The only team that I had on here, like obviously I'm pretty high on the Giants, but we can get into that when we get closer to actually NFL season. I'm interested on the Titans, and because I think Saleh's a really good coach. I think Brian Daboll is an excellent offensive coordinator. They took Wan'Dale Robinson, who I think is a great potential number 3 wide receiver. They need a wide receiver desperately. And we'll see whether or not they get one in this draft. I don't know if there's a number 1 caliber receiver to take at number 4. But I'm always interested in the AFC South being a team that this team's really good and then kind of falls back. I don't love the fact that the Jags lost ETN to the Saints. I thought it was a great move by the Saints. They've lost a lot of guys. We just talked about Devin Lloyd, them losing, but that's what happens when you pay your quarterback, right? You have to let some guys go. But the Titans were the team that I think maybe not all the way to first, but I thought that they were not coached well.
Yeah. So they got a real defensive coach there, and that helps. And I think they might have signed some good people on defense too, if I'm not mistaken. But I can concur with that as well. But yeah, I'm excited for football. We're a couple weeks away from pro days, and then right after that it's the draft. So I think the dog days of the summer after that are what's really painful, but we'll see.
Yeah, man. And right after the slave auction. All right, that is Reek Parker. Tell everyone where they can find you at. Once again, good sir. Let them know where the people can find you.
Find me at Reek the Ruler on Instagram and on the Bird app. But yeah, catch me while you can, because the internet might not be free for us, too much longer.
Amen. But that is all the time that we have. Thank you guys again for listening to the Men Who Cry podcast. Again, like, subscribe, review, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Be back with all this good talk for you guys next week. All right, everyone. Peace out.
Peace.